If you've been searching for a game to really sink your teeth into on the Vita, then Freedom Wars is more than up to the challenge. This game is a great way to get your adrenaline pumping and really scratches that itch for some good, fast-paced action. It's essentially an action RPG that all takes place in a dystopian future where the world is at war and the player takes on the role of a prisoner who is forced to fight for their freedom. The combat system is well crafted and intuitive, making it easy to pick up and play, featuring a huge variety of weapons to choose from, including swords, guns, and even special accessories that can be equipped to boost your stats or give you special abilities. Now, the game's graphics are very sharp and crisp, with well-defined textures and lively animation. The environment contains a great variety of settings, such as outdoor grassy areas, barren industrial spaces, and even a city filled with towering buildings. However, in order to maintain a good frame rate during intense moments, the developers employed a few visual tricks such as out-of-focus backgrounds and a wide-angle camera shot to help keep performance consistent. In terms of graphics, the developers did a great job of pushing the limits of the PlayStation Vita's hardware. The in-game effects take all of this to the next level. From a range of bullet fire and explosions to more subtle lighting and particles, Freedom Wars is filled with eye candy, such as the various post-processing effects to enhance the overall mood and visual experience. If you're looking for a game that can really show off what the Vita is capable of, then Freedom Wars will no doubt leave a lasting impression. Ninja Gaiden Sigma on the PlayStation Vita is an incredibly fun and immersive game. It follows the story of Ryu, a master ninja in his quest to save the world from the malicious forces of the Dark Ninja clan. The gameplay is what you would expect from a Ninja Gaiden game, fast-paced, intense, and fairly difficult. However, it doesn't make you feel overwhelmed. The huge variety of enemy types, a wide selection of weapons, and different strategies for dealing with the challenges make for a truly engaging experience. Emerging victorious from a battle against hordes of enemies takes great skill and allows you to enjoy a sense of accomplishment. To facilitate these battles, the game features detailed and grand environments, highly realized character models, and an overall visual quality that is on par with its bigger brother on the PlayStation 3. Thankfully, it hits the PlayStation Vita's native resolution, and in conjunction with the OLED screen looks absolutely beautiful in the palm of your hands. The frame rate holds strong at 30 FPS, no matter how intense the on-screen action may get, and there's a lot of action. Particle effects are abundant, with fire, sparks, and smoke all happening at once. It all adds up to create an immersive atmosphere, elevating the gameplay and making it feel truly special. Complementing this is the level design, which is just as well crafted, with massive imperial castles providing vivid and detailed backgrounds, sprawling jungles packed with obstacles and other locations that will keep you coming back to explore and master. In the end, Ninja Gaiden Sigma on the PlayStation Vita is an outstanding game in both graphics and gameplay. The visuals and animation are top-notch, the environments and levels are detailed and alive, and the lighting and shadows really help set the mood. If you can find it on the cheap, pick it up. I've always been a huge fan of Virtua Tennis since its inception, and the fourth installment on the PlayStation Vita lived up to my expectations. The game looks great, and the controls are as tight as ever. I was also pleasantly surprised to find a variety of new game modes, such as the World Tour, which added an exciting narrative into the mix. The gameplay is just as fun and challenging as the previous games in the series, but the new touchscreen controls added an extra layer of depth to each swing of your racket. When it comes to graphics, Virtua Tennis has always carried with it a certain amount of prestige, with each and every entry only getting better. Here on the Vita, that tradition rings true, with it easily being one of the most graphically impressive games on the handheld. The game is presented in the Vita's native resolution and is completely locked, allowing the insane amount of detail to truly shine on the OLED screen. The on-court action looks incredibly realistic, with fluid animations and highly detailed textures and models. The game runs at a buttery smooth 60 frames per second, ensuring a fluid and responsive experience, but the most impressive aspect has to be the lighting. With each match taking place across several different times of day, you get a real sense of the atmosphere, from the bright and cozy glow of the sun as it hits the court, to the stark contrast offered by nighttime matches illuminated by the court's lights. It looks incredible in motion, with shadows naturally tracking the players, as well as the court's various elements like stands and onlookers players alike. On the whole, Virtua Tennis 4 is a great game that is sure to provide hours of fun for tennis fans. The touchscreen controls add a unique spin to the classic gameplay, and the new game modes provide plenty of replay value. If you're looking for a tennis game that is as entertaining as it is challenging, then look no further than Virtua Tennis 4. Unit 13 on the PlayStation Vita is an action-packed shooter that pits members of an elite task force against high-level terrorists around the globe. From intense hostage standoffs in the desert to high-speed getaways in a rampaging tank, the game has no shortage of thrilling levels and missions. Each of them offer the opportunity to fine-tune your strategy and level up your firearms, earning you points and rewards while you master the tools of your trade. Now, considering Unit 13 was a part of the initial launch lineup for the Vita, it's held up surprisingly well and still looks just as impressive today as it was on day one. Like many games on the handheld, it doesn't run at the native resolution and instead hits 720 by 408, but when you see it in motion, it's easy to see why this was done. There's so much detail as well as various effects that make up the visuals would have been too much to handle for the hardware. A sense of realism permeates the entire game. From the slick and modern rifles to the bulky and rugged rocket launchers, the weapons and equipment look great and add to the game's overall visual appeal. It also features some incredible particle effects which make the explosions, flashbangs and other special effects look incredibly viable. This also translates to each of Unit 13's environments, which are also quite impressive. They are all well designed, with wide open spaces for intense firefights, narrow corridors for nail-biting close quarters combat, and plenty of points of interest that give the game a sense of variety that makes each mission feel fresh and exciting. On the whole, Unit 13 is a great example of what the Vita is capable of, and is a game that truly deserves a place on your shelf. An 8-year hiatus for the Sly series left the loyal fanbase eager for a sequel. The call was answered with Thieves in Time that promised a return to form for the series and an all-new adventures for players to explore. So what is the gameplay like? Well, you can expect the same great platforming and stealth gameplay of previous Sly Cooper outings, as well as a few new tricks that help mix up the gameplay. In most missions, you'll need to use your wits to sneak past enemies, solve puzzles and complete objectives, and as you progress, you'll get to use a variety of gadgets and tools that will make traversing the levels far easier. Now, Sly Cooper 4 is a beautiful and vibrant game that really does justice to the PlayStation Vita. The cel-shaded cartoon style of the Sly series returns and remains true to the franchise, but with so much more detail and clarity. Whether you're picking off the guards with your staff or taking in the richly detailed and lush environments, it's all stunning on the Vita. Sly Cooper's character design looks particularly impressive. His blue raccoon fur boasts a great level of detail that absolutely pops on the OLED screen. Animations are also smooth and consistent, with no visible slowdown even amidst huge battle scenes. Overall, I think Sly Cooper 4 on the PlayStation Vita looks and runs great. While the textures and effects may not compare to the PlayStation 3 version, the game still manages to look pretty impressive. The vibrant art style and use of visual effects make the game incredibly immersive and enjoyable. If you're looking for a great platformer on the Vita, you should definitely give Sly Cooper 4 a try. VIII is an action RPG that follows Adol Kristen, a young adventurer who has been shipwrecked on a mysterious island. You set out to explore this space, which is filled with challenging monsters to overcome, and along the way you'll meet a variety of characters, each with their own unique story and personalities, who are all well written and likable, and as a result, the story is memorable and intriguing. Of course, that wouldn't mean anything without a solid combat system to back it up, and thankfully VIII more than delivers. It's all presented in real time, bestows each character with a wide range of abilities for both attacking and defending. On top of this, there's a huge emphasis on elemental traits, which each enemy you encounter will either be weak against or resistant to, thereby adding a slice of strategy to the often frantic encounters throughout the game. Now visually, VIII on the Vita is a real looker. The sort of cel-shaded anime style works perfectly with the game's tone and offers up one of the best looking games on the system. It runs at the Vita's native resolution of 960 by 544, but takes advantage of dynamic scaling that sees the resolution drop once the action heats up. Of course, on such a small screen like the Vita's, the implementation of this technique is hardly noticeable and serves the gameplay well. The most impressive aspect though has to be the characters themselves, who are all lovingly detailed and animated. This is most apparent apparent in battle, with each of the characters' signature moves being accompanied by stylish sequences that add a real weight to each attack you perform. The environments are equally as good. From the lush forests to the crystal clear oceans and detailed architecture, the game's world is simply a joy to explore, which is enhanced by a day and night cycle that alters various elements of each location, making them feel like a believable space. Overall, VIII is a great game that is well worth playing. The story is engaging, the characters are likable, and the combat and exploration are both fun and satisfying. If you're a fan of the series or action RPGs in general, I highly recommend giving VIII a try. Borderlands 2 on the PlayStation Vita is one of the best action-packed first-person shooters to ever hit the platform. Set in the distant world of Pandora, the game tells the story of a vault hunter searching for a hidden ancient vault filled with untold riches and power. Gameplay-wise, it offers a lot of variety with different types of guns and melee weapons, all with different effects and elemental damage. There are also plenty of side quests to take part in, and lots of collectibles to find throughout the game. But the most unique aspect about Borderlands 2 though is its strong RPG elements, allowing the player to really customize their character and abilities to fit their style of play. That being said, the game does tend to become a bit repetitive at times, and the reused enemies and areas don't do much to keep things interesting. But the team at Gearbox Software certainly deserves credit for doing an outstanding job at optimizing the game. Despite its small size, Borderlands 2 looks almost as good as its console counterpart. All the art assets are clean and vibrant, allowing players to really immerse themselves in the dying world of Pandora. The frame rate is also surprisingly stable, but when things get chaotic, it does have a tendency to hitch. Thankfully though, it's nothing that completely hinders or ruins the gameplay. Despite that slight issue, Borderlands 2 on the PlayStation Vita is an incredible game and truly stands out as one of the most enjoyable and immersive titles on the system. With its great graphics, sound and gameplay, anyone looking for a shooter on the Vita should definitely check it out. Shinobido 2 is a stealth action game set in feudal Japan with players taking the role of a ninja dropped into a hostile environment. From here, they must complete various missions ranging from stealthy infiltration to full-on combat to prove their worth as a ninja. The game gives the player a wide range of tools to complete these missions. This includes the quintessential ninja tools such as shurikens, smoke bombs and kunai, but you also have the ability to transform into other characters to better blend into the environment. Gameplay is fast and fluid and allows you to be as creative as you like. Now when it comes to graphics, Shinobido 2 showcases the power of the Vita's hardware perfectly. It clocks in at the Vita's native resolution and provides a solid frame rate throughout play. The artwork is beautiful with detailed characters, scenery and environments, with a standout being the architecture of the buildings, shrines and temples, which are all based on authentic Japanese structures from the feudal era. This serves to set the mood perfectly as you make your way through the various missions that make up the game. On top of this, the textures are also incredibly detailed and provide a great sense of realism. The development team put considerable effort into making sure that every object and character is rendered with as much care as possible, and it really shows. But the highlight and star of Shinobido 2's visuals is undoubtedly the combat. Real-time battles play out with the speed of a ninja, and are truly spectacular to watch as a flurry of blades, spinning shurikens and powerful projectiles all blend together in a dazzling display of colour and speed. Finishes also deserve mentioning, with each one having a unique animation and being fully motion captured with an impressive level of quality. Those ready to embark on their adventure as a master ninja need to look no further than Shinobido 2. Oreshika Tainted Bloodlines is a truly unique and innovative take on the RPG genre. Designed exclusively for the PlayStation Vita, the story is set in feudal Japan and focuses on a family cursed with a shortened lifespan. Now, combat in Oreshika is strategic and deeply satisfying. It's all turn-based in nature and sees your characters having the ability to choose between using physical and special attacks, as well as powerful arts that can flatten enemies in the blink of an eye. Now, the game's graphics have a distinctly Japanese aesthetic, as the art, characters and environment feel both traditional and contemporary. Everything is lushly presented in a sort of watercolour fashion, with plenty of vibrant colours and beautiful animations to boot. Secondly, the game houses great lighting effects, from the brilliance and intensity of fire sources to the glowing applications of lighting. These lighting and shadow effects further immerse players into the game's world, presenting a fantastic and artful representation of the game's many characters and locations. But it It all truly comes to life during battle though, with each special ability being accompanied by stylish flourishes that add a real weight to each and every action you can carry out. When it comes to frame rate, the game rarely ever stutters, and during moments of frantic combat, the game's engine maintains consistent and fluid performance. Overall, Oreshika Tainted Bloodlines is an excellent showcase of the graphical capabilities of the PlayStation Vita. While it might not be on the same level as more technologically advanced games, it still manages to hold its own and stand tall with its unique look and style. If you're looking for a game that will keep you entertained for hours with its intense fighting and over-the-top characters, then Dead or Alive 5 Plus for the PlayStation Vita is just the ticket. The game features an impressive roster of characters, each with their own unique fighting style and moveset. From the wild and crazy Ayan to the stoic and serious Ryu, you'll have plenty of characters to choose from, with more becoming available the further you progress through the main campaign. Now, there's no denying that the Dead or Alive series has always been at the forefront when it comes to visuals. The 5th iteration is no exception and takes full advantage of the Vita's capabilities, but it doesn't quite hit the native resolution and hangs at 720 by 408. But when you take into consideration the amount of detail poured into each character as well as the various stages, it's easy to see why some corners had to be cut. Thankfully, the game runs at a solid 60 frames per second, with the cutscenes taking a hit down to 30, but during play is where it matters, and you'll never see a stutter whilst battling it out. The character models are highly detailed and look great on the Vita's OLED screen. The animations are smooth and the models move with an impressive amount of fluidity, with plenty of small touches like clothing realistically swaying with each attack or movement. This quality carries over to the stages, which are quite varied, ranging from industrial factories to ancient temples, and they feature destructible elements as well, allowing the player to use the environment to their advantage. So if you're looking for a fighter to jump into, Dead or Alive 5 is definitely worth checking out. Well, that does it for today's video. Keep an eye out for part 3 as that will be coming up soon, so don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to get notified about new videos, which release every Monday and Thursday. You can follow me on all of the socials, which are linked below, to stay up to date, and also join my growing community on Discord to meet many like-minded gamers to continue the conversation with. I'd like to give a special shout out to my Patreon supporters: Rhino, Skilljim, Shuden, Richard, Amy, Daniel, Paul, Dio, Omar, Strider, Pierre, Carl, Awesome Jacket Dude, GameCube Galaxy, and Paddy J for their continued support that helps make these videos possible. If you're interested in joining my Discord or supporting the channel through Patreon, you'll find all of these links in the description. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. I'll catch you next time.